Good morning, fellas, and welcome back to Me Plays Games, the show where gravity is just a friendly suggestion. My name is Matt, and last time on the show, I took you through the first half of Super Mario Galaxy 2 Speedrun, Worlds 1 through 3. So today I'm gonna finish what I started, and show you everything Worlds 4, 5, and 6 have to offer. If you haven't watched the first part, that'll be linked in the description, as well as in an iCard up in the corner. And yeah, I said my friend Dash would be doing this video, but he's off selling canoes in the desert, so I'm back instead. As a quick refresher, the world record for this game belongs to Goryuya, who beat the game in 2 hours, 54 minutes, 58 seconds. Let's tune back in and check out the second half of his run. For more videos about doing stuff fast, subscribe to Me Plays Games. We've also got Rubik's Cube speed solving videos, as well as a world record progression for the Subway Challenge, where you visit every subway station in New York City as fast as you can. Dash will be attempting the challenge himself as well, so stay tuned for a video about that. Alright, let's get started. Last time, I mentioned that the Chinese version of the game was fastest for this run, and I got a comment asking how that version even exists, since the Wii never came out in China. Well, the Wii was released in Hong Kong and Taiwan, so a Chinese version was made to be sold in those places. Alright, let's jump back into the speedrun itself. To kick off World 4, Goryuya calls another hungry Luma to the ship and feeds him 1200 star bits. This Luma becomes the Sweet Mystery Galaxy. This is another level you can mostly ignore with Yoshi and Infinite Flutters. Isn't this game great? When you're doing Infinite Flutters, you lose pretty much all your momentum after about 10 seconds, so you start moving really slowly. Luckily, you can regain some momentum by jumping on enemies and items, which Goryuya takes advantage of in this level. During the second flutter of the level, he jumps off this smeech to reset the timer of sorts. It's actually possible, but really difficult to finish the whole level with just one flutter, by jumping on bulberries and smeeches to refresh your momentum throughout. This is mostly reserved for IL runs though. Next up is Flipsville Galaxy, where gravity doesn't quite work as intended. The planets are close enough together that you can just long jump over instead of taking a launch star. On this planet, Goryuya slides off this roof for a bit, then carries his momentum all the way to the boss fight against Glamdozer. Normally this isn't possible, but since we skipped a launch star earlier, the death plane that's supposed to kill Mario here never loads. To hit the boss, you need to head to the other side of the planet, and ground pound back over when she's standing on top of one of the grates. At the start of the fight, her head is hanging over a grate, so you can just ground pound back and forth a few times to beat her. After this star, the mail toad has a letter for Luma. It contains 50 star bits, and runners will get 2 more of these letters during the run. Now let's head back for Flipsville 2. This is another level that involves the spin drill, sort of. You can skip it entirely on the first planet, because you can just jump around the wall to reach the launch star. That's embarrassing, Nintendo. You're also supposed to use the drill to reach this warp pipe, but luckily for us, Mario can, jump, so you can get up this funky structure with a backflip and some wall jumps. This final section actually does require the drill, which you use to reach the 5 silver stars in this gravity-changing maze thingy. This is another section where the cycles are based on the game's music. The gravity changes every 8 beats like Beat Block Galaxy we looked at in part 1. The first planet on Chompworks 1 is also cycle-based, so runners will try to grab a comet medal and lower a platform to get the chomp into the hole as quickly as possible. Normally, you're not able to climb slopes, but for whatever reason, the game won't make you slide down if you climb up the very edge here. This allows Goryuya to grab the medal and quickly clear the way for a chomp. On the third planet, it was previously thought that the first chomp to come out would always die from the seesaw, and you would have to wait for a second one. But if you lower the seesaw just right, you actually can keep the first chomp alive and get him to the end, saving some time waiting for the next cycle. There's a whole lot of waiting on this last planet thanks to the chomp, unfortunately. Chompworks 2 has moving platforms at the end of the level, but their cycles start as soon as the level does, because the final planet is visible from the opening one. This is a tricky cycle to make, but if you do, you save about 5 seconds. Goryuya gets there in time and grabs star number 34. This level features the spring mushroom on all 3 planets, but you only need it on the last one. For the first 2, you can just do regular Mario shenanigans, including a damage boost to get around this chomp. Now let's head back to World 2 to take care of a Prankster Comet and Puzzle Plank. This time it's a purple comet, which adds purple coins to a level, and Mario needs to collect 100 of them to earn a star. For this particular comet, cosmic clones are also chasing you throughout this little room, and you have to collect every single coin in under 1 minute. The clones make it especially difficult, because if you miss a coin, you have to go back to get it, and chances are you'll run into a clone on the way. Goryuya does it without a hitch here, but this is a really easy star to screw up. Next up is Boulder Bowl Galaxy, home of yet another brand new power-up, the Rock Mushroom. By shaking the Wii Remote, Mario turns into a rock and he can roll around to kill enemies and break crystals open. Runners can skip ahead in this level by veering left on this ramp after the bowl rolling pins, skipping a pretty slow and mundane planet where you have to kill a ton of enemies. This level also has a boss fight against Rolladillo, where you have to use the rock mushroom and roll into his butt 4 times. Ideally, runners will do this fight in such a way that Rolladillo doesn't notice them, because if he does, he'll waste a few seconds with his rolling attack. Goryuya heads back to Boulder Bowl for another secret star. The skip we saw on the ramp in the previous star can also be done with regular Mario, which is what he... bit my tongue. Which is what he does here. You need to do it as Rock Mario the first time to get a Comet Medal though. Then Goryuya finds a Goomba on this planet and takes him to this Gearmo. There's a tiny chance the game soft locks here, which is less than ideal to say the least, but that's very uncommon. Next up is another Speedy Comet, this time in Hightail Falls Galaxy. Not only is the time limit 3 minutes, but meteors are constantly falling from the sky, and the Paragoombas are replaced with Smeeches. Goryuya takes a different route through this level, not doing the infinite flutter he used to get to the final planet last time. That's because he only went that way the first time for the Comet Medal, which is no longer there because, you know, we're playing the Comet right now. Back in Boulder Bowl, another Prankster Comet has appeared, this time a Romp Comet. For this one, you're using the Rock Mushroom to kill 30 Crabbers. This star kinda sucks because the Crabber's movement is random, but by jumping and pressing Z while rolling as Rock Mario, you can cancel your roll and change directions more easily, which allows you to mop up the last few at the end. The grind never stops as a Prankster Comet janitor, and the next galaxy we're cleaning up is Bowser Jr.'s Fiery Flotilla. This is a Speedy Comet where you just have to beat Gobblegut again, except you skip the entire level before the fight. A whopping 12 seconds tick off the clock by the time Goryuya is done with Gobblegut. Next, it's back to Sweet Mystery Galaxy for another Purple Comet. Unlike the last Purple Coin Star, there's no time limit or cosmic clones. It's just you, Yoshi, and 100 coins. A lot of them are arranged in diagonal lines, so some of the movement in this level is a little funky. It's easy to miss a few and have to go back. For once, we're actually using Yoshi somewhat normally. By eating bulb berries, Yoshi lights up and shows you where the platforms are. He also runs considerably faster than both Mario and Luigi, so that's handy as well. Flipsville features another Purple Comet, which takes place on the same planet where we did Silver Stars earlier. Routing the star is tricky, and it's really difficult to get the optimal cycle. A lot of the time you'll see Goryuya just barely grabbing coins by the skin of his teeth. This is another star you can lose a ton of time on. Remember how Chompworks' once last planet was a whole lot of waiting? Well, now you get to do a whole lot of waiting with Cosmic Clones. Ain't that fun? You have to be pretty careful with this one, so one thing Goryuya does to make it easier is crawling around this button, since that'll slow down the clones without putting him in harm's way. Starshine Beach 1 is all about Yoshi, since you'll be using a bunch of his abilities to collect silver stars. Runners will pick up a crab and flutter up to this cage with the first silver star, then infinite flutter over to the second one. For the rest of the level, you can use the dash peppers to reach the final 3 silver stars quickly. If a pepper is active, you can get a ton of momentum from dismounting Yoshi, which is what Goryuya does for the last silver star. After that, he goes out of his way for a Comet Medal, and infinite flutters over to the power star. In Starshine Beach 2, you're meant to use the Cloud Flower to reach the star on top of a tower, but you can also just not. It's possible to have this Chuckster throw you onto one of these moving clouds. Mario is too heavy to stand on them, and normally you need the Cloud Flower to do so. But the game gives you a small grace period here for you to jump off, similar to the flower platforms from earlier. On the way to the Chuckster, runners will mess with the camera a little bit to get a better cycle on the clouds. That brings us to the final galaxy of World 4, Bowser's Gravity Gauntlet. And spoiler alert, the Gravity Gauntlet is on the fritz. After collecting this Comet Medal, Goryuya does some gravity shenanigans behind the castle to skip ahead to this launch star, all while not being able to see what he's doing. This is a trick known as Into the Castle. As you can probably imagine, this is one of the hardest strats in the game. Not only do you need a really precise movement, but you also have to do a long jump within a 3-frame window. Congratulations, Bowser, you failed. Unfortunately, he died on his first attempt going for the skip, but he made it the second time. During the Bowser fight, runners can do punch cancel on the first phase, where you wait until Bowser starts his punching animation before you hit him with the first meteor. By doing that, he won't punch again after taking damage, which lets you hit him again sooner. Alright, that's World 4 done. The second planet in the next level, Space Storm 1, is also cycle-based, and the optimal cycle is pretty tricky to get. After guiding a Bob-omb around, you get to this section with pole stars. Generally, you want to grab onto the ones that are furthest away, because the further you have to move to get to one, the faster you'll go. So your pointer should be hanging out towards the left edge of your screen for the most part. Space Storm 2 is a difficult star. Normally you're meant to ground pound switches to slow down all the moving objects, but you can also just, you know, not. Goryuya has some trouble this time, so he winds up slowing down time to make it easier. But here's Super Viper T302 pulling it off at Summer Games Done Quick back in 2019. I got a lot of info from his commentary over the run, as well as his tutorial videos. I'll also link this run in the description. Beating Space Storm 1 unlocked, like, everything, so you have a lot of options for where to go next. Goryuya goes for Shiverburn Galaxy, which you'd think would use the fire and ice flowers, considering the whole theme is hot and cold. But nope, it's another Cloud Flower level. Also, the ice flower isn't in this game, it's just in Galaxy 1. That's a shame. There's a skip here where runners runners take advantage of Cloud Mario's platforms, as well as his funky long jump physics. This skips most of the first and second planets. This level's boss is Prince Picante, who does an attack where he fires a coconut into the air, followed by a few fireballs and another coconut. There's a tricky strat you can do here, where you hit the second coconut back at him right when he spits it out. Then you can hit him again with the first coconut as it lands. Next up is a secret star, and it's the same minigame from Freezy Flake. The only difference is this time you need to score 600 points instead of 500. This planet on Boom Moon 1 is meant to be an auto-scroller of sorts, but you can skip quite a bit of it. Runners can go for this long jump over to the checkpoint platform, then when the gravity changes they can do this nonsense. 5 star chips and 5 silver stars later, and that's another power star down. This is a star that runners usually don't play, because there's another one earlier on that saves 50 seconds. Freezy Flake 2. As you can see in this IL record from Valu, this star is faster because you can use the rock mushroom to skip a huge chunk of the level, and effectively go straight to the boss fight against Storbetti. This level requires nearly a dozen mid-air rock jumps, which you do by precisely timing a Wii Remote shake and an A press. Boom Moon 1 is more consistent, so Goryuya takes a time loss of about 50 seconds here. There's a lot of difficult strats coming up, so this gives him one less thing to worry about. Welcome to Upside Dizzy Galaxy, home of more gravity shenanigans. After the checkpoint, you're meant to hit a switch to flip the gravity and get into this pipe, but Mario can reach it by just jumping off a Paragoomba here. In the next section, the gravity flips to the beat of the music. Goryuya intentionally takes damage here to grab the Comet Medal without waiting, then pulls off this funky triple jump for the star. Upside Dizzy is home to another secret star, and this one involves burning boxes with a fire flower again. This time the boxes are arranged in a more friendly pattern, so fewer diagonal throws are required. Back to Boom Moon for its secret star as well. This one is hanging out beyond the launch star on the second planet. Goryuya just long jumps over to it from these snake blocks. Shiverburn's Romp Comet has you killing 30 Octumas with rainbow stars in 50 seconds. Well, sorta. For whatever reason, the timer starts when you land on the starship, instead of the Octumba planet, so you wind up with about 45 seconds. Oh well. Goryuya completes the romp without having to refresh his rainbow star. Bowser Jr.'s Boom Bunker has a couple of cannons you have to shoot yourself out of. If you miss, chances are you'll die. You're meant to aim at a pole or target to land safely, but you can also aim at a Boomerang Bro, which saves time because you have to kill them anyway. A Cloud Flower is available to help you on the next planet, but you can skip it with this long jump. For the Bowser Jr. fight, the game wants you to hit him once, then he'll blow you away and you have to climb up again. But if you make it up to his cockpit with at least one cloud left, you can use it to save yourself and hit him again right away. After one more phase, Goryuya gets Grand Star number 5. The first galaxy of World 6 is Melty Monster Galaxy, which features more pull stars. On the second planet, Goryuya grabs another life mushroom, and like the first Bowser level we saw in the last video, he uses it to lava boost through this section of the level. The tornadoes in this part after the checkpoint are on a cycle from the time the level starts, so you can lose some time here if you're too slow. Goryuya is able to skip 2 of the 4 tornadoes though, and it's on to the final planet. Each of these small planets has its own gravitational field, so the controls can get kind of wonky here. Goryuya takes damage here, but Mario bounces directly into the star crystal because of the weird gravity. Melty Monster 2 features the rock mushroom again. Towards the end of the level, Goryuya does zigzag skip. Normally you're meant to roll back and forth across these platforms, but it's possible to go straight over the gaps, skipping quite a bit of this section. This is risky to go for, especially since we're so close to the end of the run. The Chimp is back with yet another minigame, and this time it's bowling. You need to score 5,000 points by knocking over bowling pins to Rock Mario. There are 9 platforms, and you're meant to go off the ramp at the end of each one. Doing so cuts your roll short, but we can do better. By jumping onto the ramp instead of rolling onto it, the ramp gets deactivated and runners can jump off it while still rolling. The problem is, since you're not using the ramp in the intended way, the camera doesn't pan forward, so you're essentially doing a bunch of blind jumps. So Goryuya skips out on doing the strat a couple times, because that way the camera has a chance to catch up. There's another Hungry Luma on the world map, and this time he's asking for 1,800 star bits. I have a sneeze coming on. Ugh. Once you feed him, he turns into the Flash Black Galaxy. Yoshi is here to help you climb this vertical section, but it's faster to do most of these jumps as Mario. Further up, runners will get another Yoshi and use a Blimp Fruit to grab a Comet Medal, then move on. That takes you to another Silver Star section. This one's pretty straightforward, and that's star number 60. Slimy Spring 1 features another slope boost at the start of the level, followed by 1,000 years of holding forward and swimming with the shell. As you jump out of the water, you can throw the shell at a treasure chest. Captain Toad is hiding inside with your star, so even if you were able to keep up spin swimming for long enough, you should still use the shell, since you need to open up the chest. There are some pretty slow stars here in World 6, and Clockwork Ruins Galaxy Galaxy's secret star is one of them. There's another hungry Luma who asks for 30 coins. Goryuya gets his first 19 from putting out these torches, killing enemies, and grabbing whichever ones he can on these rotating platforms. These can be pretty difficult to traverse, especially if you die, because the cycles will be different on your second try. Then he hits this question block for 10 coins, and he gets coin number 30 right by the Luma and heads off to the secret planet. Normally on this planet, you need to dodge a bunch of hammers while the platforms are rotating beneath you, but once again you have a jump button. A triple jump and wall jump is enough height to go straight to the star. The next level is Throwback Galaxy, a remake of Wamp's Fortress from Super Mario 64. Check out my videos on that game, link in the description. I've covered every main category besides 120 star. In Mario 64, this alcove contains a star, but in Galaxy 2 it's just a comet medal. Oh well, we need those two anyway, since we're going to be taking care of a bunch more Prankster Comets shortly. There's a glitch here that Goryuya doesn't go for, but if you stand on the very edge where this Womp is about to faceplant, you'll clip through the floor and go straight to the Womp King fight. In Super Mario 64, you could ground pound straight through the Womp King when he slams himself into the ground. But unfortunately, by the time Galaxy 2 came out, the devs had a pretty good idea of how collision should work. Instead, what Goryuya does here is a backflip off the Womp King's foot as he faceplants, which gives him a ton of upward momentum. Rinse and repeat 2 more times, and that's star number 63 down. Throwback 2 is yet another Silver Star mission, this time with the Cloud Flower. This second star can be hard to grab, because if you spawn a cloud too early, you'll have to wait for the cloud to expire before trying again. Goryuya does some more fancy schmancy cloud boosts to collect the 3rd, 4th, and 5th stars. You know, there's something poetic about how he gets the 64th star in the Super Mario 64 level. Anyway, let's head back to Bowser's Gravity Gauntlet for another comet. This is the Speedy Comet, where you have to reach the end of Bowser's castle with a 30-second timer. Once again, there are clocks hanging around that Goryuya doesn't wind up needing, since you don't need to do the Bowser fight at the end. He beats the level in 25 seconds, doing the same skip we saw before. It's riskier to go for it the second time though, because it saves way less time and failing it costs way more. Next up is a Purple Comet in Starshine Beach. This is the most lenient purple coin star in the game. You only need 100 of 140 coins. Once again, we get to use Yoshi and Dash Peppers to grab the coins all over the beach. This is one that's relatively easy to do, but difficult to optimize, since you have to make very slight turns with the nunchuck throughout. Goryuya has 86 coins by the time he picks up the final pepper, which allows him to skip a lot of the remaining coins. Let's head back to Haunty Halls for a Cosmic Clone Comet. This is basically just the second half of Haunty Halls 2. Just do a bunch of long jumps to get to the end. As long as you nail them all, the Cosmic Clones aren't going to be a problem. 3 more comets before the final level. And now it's back to Beat Block for a Double Time Comet. Except that's a lie. The Beat Blocks actually swap 4 times as fast. I guess Quadruple Time Comet wasn't as catchy. Last time the block switched every 8 beats of music, and now it's every 2 beats. Yoshi is also here, so runners use him for an infinite flutter, then jump off him and let him fall to his doom in the never-ending void of space. The pyramid with the silver stars is bigger than last time, and there are also way fewer enemies. Hope you like Mario 64, because we're heading back to the Throwback Galaxy one last time for the Speedy Comet. This time we're doing Throwback 2, but again. There's almost no difference between these 2 stars in the speedrun. There's a 2-minute timer, but Goryuya finishes with 1 minute 22 seconds left, so who cares? The only difference is that the cycles are slightly different in this star, but that's not that big a deal. The 70th star is the Flash Black Galaxy's Romp Comet. This time you have to kill 30 Octumas with Yoshi. Sort of. For most of the level, Goryuya just uses Mario. This is one of the few levels in the game where he uses star bits for reasons other than just feeding hungry Lumas. They can also be used to stun the Octumas. Then all you need to do to kill them is run into them. He also jumps on a few and spins into a few, so this really is an Octuma murder masterclass. 3/4 of the way through the level, he finally picks up Yoshi, and uses his tongue and flutters to help him with the last 7 enemies on screen. Now that we've got 70 stars, it's finally time for the final level of the game, Bowser's Galaxy Generator. There's a subtle skip on the world map. Normally, upon unlocking the final level, a cutscene plays where Lubba tells you to get ready for the final battle and save Peach. But by selecting the galaxy with your pointer, you can skip all that nonsense. It's the end of a 3-hour run, we don't have time for your yammering, no offense. On the second planet, you're meant to kill 3 Hammer Bros, but there's a lava boost here that allows you to skip all the way down to the spin drill. Goryuya only takes damage once by bouncing off some rocks and a torch on the way down. After using the drill once, he gets rid of it on purpose, because that way he can triple jump and spin on top of the Bullet Bill Blaster, and long jump ahead to the next launch star. The next planet is all about using the Cloud Flower, and Goryuya finishes this section with 1 cloud left. That allows him to do a cloud boost all the way over to this Yoshi egg. At this point, it probably won't shock you to your core to find out it's time for another infinite flutter. This one allows you to skip a ton of Yoshi stuff and go straight to the boss door. If you go too high here, you'll soft lock, and you'll need to restart the level, losing you 3 minutes. Timing the Yoshi dismount is also also key. It's possible to reach the upper level here if you dismount as late as possible, but doing so is tricky because of how quickly you lose momentum during infinite flutters. So Goryuya settles for landing on the lower level and climbing up the pole. Alright fellas, it's time for the final Bowser fight. This is a difficult fight to do well at the end of such a long run. Goryuya does another punch cancel on the first phase. What can happen in this fight though is you can accidentally skip Bowser's attack here where he summons meteors. That can lose you a lot of time because there will be nothing to hit him with for a while. Luckily that doesn't happen here. Hit him 4 times with meteors and that's the game. Psych! This last section is pretty easy though. Just ground pound meteors into him until he dies. Once again, the last part of the fight takes 4 hits, and now the game is over. Well fellas, there it is. That's the Super Mario Galaxy 2 speedrun. Between the 2 parts of this video, I wrote well over 16 pages and 10,000 words, making it by far the longest script I've written for this show. So I really appreciate you all for sticking around for the whole thing. Stay tuned to Me Plays Games for more videos like this, as well as my guy Dash's upcoming Subway adventure. We'll see you all later. Good night fellas, sleep well.